Hi guys, I'm Karan Shah from KS Motorsport. I've been making cars for a while, 20 years now. Most of you guys know me, so I'll get straight to it. What Santosh asked me is that how did I come up with the idea of the Ambassador? So I didn't come up with the idea actually. There's a guy in the UK who wanted to build an Ambassador and then take it there to use it there. So he wanted a red Ambassador and he wanted something powerful like 500 horsepower and all. It's not possible to do. So I explained it to him that it's not just the engine that you have to worry about, but also the driveline, the rear diff, the shock absorbers, the whole suspension component, everything. So now we have an Ambassador. Somehow we'll find an engine, but what do we do of the drivetrain and suspension? Like what do I weld into an Ambassador, right? So at that time I had a S13. One of my friends had an S13 with already the SR20 in it, working, driving, car condition proper. And he said, okay, KS, I'm done with this car, let's sell it off. And this Ambassador came around. So I got the S13, we stripped it apart. We took measurements, bolt to bolts, where all suspension components, the rear subframe, the front subframe, all of it had to fit. And then we made a whole chassis, ladder chassis on the Ambassador. Rather, we made the chassis and then we fit the Ambassador on it. And then all the other components were fitted underneath it, like the subframe and all that. So that's the red car, the first car I made. But the unfortunate part was that halfway through the project, the owner passed away in the UK. So I never got to hear the word thanks KS, awesome car or anything. Anyways, I built it, his office guys took it over and it was written by in one of the magazines. Seeing that, one guy from South India called. He's saying, Karan sir, please make me Ambassador, same like red car. So he sent his Ambassador and that is what I've documented, and that's the photographs I've got to show you all. So that Ambassador came, the black one. We already made the red one. We made the chassis frame of the S13, everything bolt on, so suspension parts fit, everything into that. Engines are easy to source. You get them all over the world, USA, Japan. Just pay some extra freight duty and you can import it. It's a headache, but can be done. So we assembled all the components first, such as lower arms, upper arms, shock absorbers, brakes, discs, wheels, all the hardware that is required in the running gear, the clutch plate, the gearbox, the prop shaft, everything is acquired. I have it here. Then we went to Automech. He's helped me a lot in doing both the cars. So he built the chassis frame for me. Then we put all the stuff into the car. Then the car came back to my place. We put on the dyno to check it. So we got some images, videos of the car on the roller. We check horsepower. Everything's working fine. Then I give it one, typical that night blast to see if something is going to break or fall apart. And once all that is done, clean, then the car goes to the paint shop, or rather the tinsmith, Patrewala, which is M-Craft, Minil. He's also helped me in both the cars quite a bit. If you see photographs, you can make out that you have to, once you've put the engine in, obviously it's going to touch the firewall. So we've chopped the firewall out. We've chopped the lower gearbox tunnel out. Put the hardware in it. So when I test drive, also when I drive it, there's no metal here. I can hear exhaust going down from here, but I have to drive to check it. So when it goes there, then he makes the firewall. He makes the gearbox tunnel, the front suspension mounts which are all built by him. And then one thing gets attached to the car, like the fender. Then the fender is cut, and then all the goodies, cosmetic things, the lip bumpers and all that. The problem with the Ambassadors is it's so old that first of all, there's nobody to do that lock adjustment. We used to have the old Tamilian guys. They used to come adjust the lock, shut the door, tadak, like 10 times to make out, abhi adjust ho gaya. Couldn't find any of those guys. Then the door panels also, when you shut, they don't shut clean, flat, flush. There'll be one in, one out. We got to align that. Big headache in doing the bodywork. The hardware is done in probably 2-3 months. It's over. The bodywork takes a lot of time, 6-8 months. Bumper ko dhundo, abhi naya bumper lao, bonnet nahi mil raha hai. We broke the glass while doing it. Then the rubber bidding and all that. Then once all that is done, then we spray the car from down with this rubberized coating for anti-rust and sound dampening and all that. Then the car goes into paint and finally it's delivered out. So the specs on both the cars are almost the same. Front is 8-piston caliper brake kit, rear is 4-piston. The red one had Lenzo wheels, but the white one has got Yokohama F15 wheels, 18-inch wheels. Drive quality is fantastic. So essentially, you're driving an Ambassador. It looks like an Ambassador rather, but अंदर का सामान, drivetrain, everything is of the S13. So yeah, once we put it on the dyno, after the car is assembled, rather not fully painted, but it's still in the kacha form, we try to make sure everything is done correctly, like new fuel pump and fuel filter and spark plugs and coils and all. So these cars, these SR20s, without a tune, I don't tune them. What's the point of going any faster? Just ideas to SR20 now Ambassador. So untuned standard ECM on the wheels makes 200 horsepower. The white Ambassador is VVTi, so because of the VVTi, it's very convenient to drive in the city. 20 kilometers an hour in third gear, you accelerate, the car will start moving. So that's the fun of the VVTi. But these Ambassadors are, SR20s are all 200 horsepower to the wheels, untouched, untuned. The fun little small incident was I was on the Eastern Freeway and there are a couple of turns. So there's a 520 guy pulls up next to me. This is after the car's painted. I'm doing the final test drive with the AC, make sure everything's working. It was a little late, little okayish in the evening, not full sunset. And he comes and he says, awesome car, and he takes off. So I also downshift, I take off. So I overtake him from the outside. So that guy is wondering that how is this Ambassador keeping up to me? It was a 520 or 320, I don't remember. But yeah, then afterwards he pulled out, he opened, he stopped, he checked. Oh wow, superb, good job and all that. So that's these Ambassadors, man. They're difficult to build. I'm not going to build anymore. But 2 Ambassadors in our country running SR20s with the proper diff, gearbox, brakes and suspension. Right, so this 124 legendary car, like I used to love it as a kid. Yeah, the 124 is classic design, everybody loves it. Now it's what do they call it, modern classics or something. So anyways, back in the day I wanted one. And somewhere before I bought my first Lancer, a lot of people may remember, may not, but in 2001 I bought a Lancer and modified with a big wing and all that. So I wanted to buy a 124 and family said, no, what do you buy it? Buy Mercedes and all, it's not your age, it doesn't look good on you and all. No Mercedes, nothing, no 124. I forgot about it, yeah. As time progresses and these swaps I started doing, the Evos and this, and then I travel a lot to Thailand, and there used to be dime a dozen of these 124s. I didn't know what it was, they used to just go. So I met a couple of guys, became friends, and I realized all of those 124s are running 2JZ engines. Now I was intrigued, man. It's the design I like, the shape I like, legendary shape, sold for some 10-12 years in all over the world with this legendary engine, Japanese German mix. So I'm now sitting with a friend and he said, dude, all this can only happen in Thailand, not in our country. That ticked me off. I said, no, we'll do it here. So I bought an engine in USA. You put it on DHL, flew it here. So 3 days it was here. After that, I bought a car and got the car. We put the engine into that car. There's a blue color car I got from Pune, second-hand car, means second owner. He had taken good care of it, clean car. His son used to like it, so he used to wash it clean. Very clean car. Some people have seen the blue car that I had used. But so I removed the old engine, give it away. I put the 2JZ into it. Mounts were easy to make, just few spots, welds. So I think about 4-5 days the engine was in the car. And I used the automatic gearbox because of the Evos. I think my left foot is bigger than my right foot pressing the clutch. So in the 124 I decided no boss, no automatic, no manual, only automatic. So you put the engine in, all good. We fire it, fires, it dies, it fires, it dies. The wiring was a headache because I wanted the original, that round big AC knob to work. So of course when you start the car, it has to idle by itself, the engine. Then you put the AC on, RPM has to climb up just a bit in the old school cars, right? In any car rather. And that wouldn't happen. That took me good 6-8 months to do. And then every time rainy season we stop work because the wires get damp and all that. So that car took me over a year to get on the road. But yeah, it's on the road. I use it every day. And it was blue in color. It had the original wheels. See in the photograph, the original wheels. Stopping power was absolutely ridiculous. The car just wouldn't stop with that 2JZ. So I had to upgrade to D2. Now if I put D2, it's not going to fit on those wheels. So I needed some wheels. And I was not doing that till I don't find a good set of wheels. And I came across this S600 wheels which I'm using now, S600 or 500. My friend in Delhi, Arush, he sent them to me. So now I got the wheels, so I bought the brakes. Then I had to sort out the stance of the car with that 6-cylinder. The front had dipped down, the rear was up in the air. So we sorted that with Bilstein and Volt Racing or Voltland springs. So the front is diesel springs actually out of a 300 and the rear are lowered springs, and that's why the car is settled out and all. Fit wise, yeah, very tight fit. It's a 6-cylinder, no? So it's a long engine. It's not a 4-cylinder. It's a very tight fit. Barely a finger goes into it. So when you pop the bonnet, it looks like, it's built for this. But believe me, it's a tight fit to do. I'd rather put a V8 in this next time than put this 6-cylinder. Just purely for the wiring headache. And it's got a small intercooler in the front. There's not enough space. Like either I have the intercooler or I have a AC condenser in the front. It's a harassment. So my intercooler is a bit smaller. My rear diff is standard bends. I didn't want to fidget with that. So to keep everything in place and to not break stuff, because the boost of the 2JZ, my boost is also turned down to about 6-8 psi. In certain RPMs I get 6 psi, certain RPMs I get 8 psi. Exhaust is custom downpipe. D and Omkar helped me to do that. And of course using a Borla, I wouldn't use anything else. So deep sound. Yeah man, that's about it. That car is pleasure to drive, fun to drive. Everything's stock on the inside, very clean car. So now when I drive it around, people stop me and ask me that, oh dude, is this a tuned car? Now, I don't know what to tell them. Is it tuned or not tuned? Like, no, it's not tuned. It's a engine swap. Also, this ECM also is untuned standard factory 2JZ Toyota ECM is what's running that car. Fit, like again I said, tight fit not only space wise but also underneath where the chamber has to clear the subframe. That's also a little situation. So we a little old school garam karo or maro. That's how we bent a bit of the frame in the front. But other than that, it's awesome to drive that car around. People stop, look at it. Oh, classic car. A lot of people don't know what's in it. So, and I wanted that sticker on it, 2JZ inside sticker. So probably one of the reasons why I built that was just to put that sticker on the car. So this car, because the boost being less, makes only 220 to the wheels. I mean, if I increase the boost, I'm going to get more power, but I don't want to break the rear diff and my axles popping out and braking. So to keep things more docile and in control, 220 horsepower. Torque is good. So I don't have the graph, but graph is up and flat. So every time I hold it at 3000, I have continuous torque. It doesn't like die out or anything. It's fun to go up the Bombay Pune Ghat. Very, very easy, very entertaining. So yeah, a lot of people ask how much does things like these cost. So these Ambassadors, because it's the whole chassis and it takes longer to build and more effort to build, and it's including suspension components, the rear diff, everything. Essentially, it's the whole Nissan S13 car other than the body. So something like that can be comfortably at 30 lakhs depending on what wheels and brakes you choose. Just that's your choice. Again, for the Mercedes, the 124, a lot of guys ask me, is there a shorter way out? No, there's no shorter way out, because the engine cost alone must be 7-10 lakhs to get a 2JZ engine, and then you put it into this, you add suspension, wheels, 2-3 lakhs here, 2-3 lakhs there, karke you're looking at about 18 lakhs comfortably to make a 124. Yeah, 18 lakhs would be, I think, without a car, or you will find a crap car. So if you want to plan to do something like this, don't buy a, let's look for a cheap banged up car. No, look for a car which has a bad engine but very clean body. We don't rust. You cannot make a smooth, good looking car without a rust bucket. Yeah, so buy a good car. So yeah, 18 lakhs plus a good car, maybe 2-3 lakhs. I don't know the cost of the 124s, but I've heard they go for 4-5 lakhs now. I don't know how true is that. So yeah, I mean, I've been doing engine swaps and all that, but it's not, I mean, you cannot go on doing that all the time, I always like to get more power out of a particular engine somehow, without abusing it and not putting it under too much load. So the newest things these days I like doing, and now people are appreciating and they know about it, is turbo swaps, turbo upgrades, like for a Fortuner and the Endeavour. Same turbo, same size, just the impeller and compressor is different and little larger. So it sucks more air, it pressurizes more air. So you have the same one turbo, the stock turbo say blows 1 bar of boost. The upgraded turbo will blow 1 bar of boost but at a lower temperature. So your intake temperature will stay lower. When your intake temperature is lower, you automatically make more torque. So a turbo upgrade, one exhaust to let it breathe better, and one like a stage 3 customized map built on the dyno for every particular car. You're looking at comfortably about 50 horsepower more on diesel car. We've been doing for Thars and I'm doing for some other cars, intercoolers as well. We live in hot country. Like I said, that colder the air, more the torque, because it holds more molecules of oxygen per square inch or whichever per that much area. So intercoolers upgrade, we have turbo upgrades, building exhaust for lots of Hyundais now. So yeah, if you have a car, you want to just upgrade a bit, nothing too wild, but as well as keeping it efficient and within safe parameters, yeah, do let us know. I'm sure I can help you out with something. We have most of the maps ready. If your car has some other mods to it, like another exhaust or an intake or a front mount cooler, which also we've got, but we can customize a map quickly on the dyno, 2-3 hours. So you come in the morning, 10-11 o'clock, by 5 o'clock you're going home with 40 horsepower, 50 horsepower more.